Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm excited today. We have a special guest from the East Coast, my neck of the woods, the brother state almost that's right above from New Jersey, where I'm from. So from New York. What's up, Eddie? How you doing, brother?
What's going on, brother? Pleasure to be here. Thank you for the honor. Man, it's good to be here live with you. It's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you for jumping on. You know, you got a really powerful story and not enough people get to hear these type of stories on a regular basis. So you were born in Costa Rica. Your family decided to move. I think you were one of five, right? 5 children.
That's right. I'm the youngest of 5.
Yeah, the youngest of 5. And then you guys moved when you were about, what, 9-ish to
8 years old.
Okay, to the Bronx of all places.
Right.
So it's not the easiest place in the world, right?
Right.
And now you're rocking and rolling into real estate. You're a big, servant leader within your church, which is awesome, and making an impact there as well. At this point, you've flipped over a dozen properties. You got 31 doors or properties under your belt as well, not just in New York, but out of state as well in Indiana, which is awesome. So you got a lot of things rocking and rolling, man.
That's right. You got to keep busy. You got to keep busy.
And you got a beautiful family as well, which is awesome. For anybody out there that doesn't know a little bit more of your story, I know I just touched on it for a second, but anybody out there that doesn't know a little bit more about you, do you mind just diving into who you are, where you're from, and what you got going on?
Oh, absolutely. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the honor. I'm excited to be here. And, my name is Eddie. The real name is Eduardo, if you pronounce it in Spanish, Eduardo. And I was born in Costa Rica. I think it's the most beautiful country in the world. I'm sorry if I'm biased, but it's such a beautiful country. It's great for tourism and not necessarily where I came from. The pictures you see on social media and the magazines is not necessarily where I came from. I came from a poor family. And even within my family, I think that within my immediate family, we were the ones that were well off, so to speak, in Costa Rican economy. But it was still a struggle. We grew up, there was 5 of us at the home. We were 5 kids. I'm the youngest of 5. And I remember being in a family atmosphere, and everything we did was family. However, it got to a point, in 1993 where it got a little bit tough. Economy wasn't where we needed. And my mom, who is my hero, she is the go-getter. She's the one that I give props and credit for raising me the way I am. She decided to take a leap of faith, leave her dental assistant professional job, leave everything that we had behind and move to New York in search of a better life, a better atmosphere. She knew that her kids, us 5, were to stay where we were eventually going to end up in the wrong track. Not prophesying anything, but, definitely poor, drugs, in jail, which is where I unfortunately learned that some of my family were. And out of all places, like you said, Brandon, we came to the Bronx. My uncle from her father's side had a building in the Bronx, and he was able to give us a home. And I remember the little that I remember, that it was a different experience. I say this a lot. Most of our furniture came from the garbage. It was a family ordeal that, on the weekends or whenever the buildings around us or the neighborhood around us will put out the garbage, we would go with 3 shopping carts as a family, collecting cans and hoping to make ends meet. And I remember my first bunk bed. Well, we picked it up from the garbage. We saw it one day and we called 2 of our oldest brothers, like, yo, we need help. There's a lot of pieces that we got to bring and mattresses. And we were a happy family bringing our first bunk bed to our 2-bedroom apartment. We lived in 2-bedroom, but there was 9 of us. And we had to figure it out. 1 room was for my brother and his wife and newborn son. The other room was for my mom, my father, myself, my brother, and my sister. And then we threw our second oldest brother somewhere in the living room. And those were the humble beginnings that I can remember. Those were the moments that I can say I know what it's like to be poor, and I choose not to go there ever again. Not for any pride or boasting or bragging. It's just so much easier to be able to give back when you actually have some to give. So that's where that's where I've been for the past couple of years as I delved into real estate investing. Those were the beginnings.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's such a powerful story, and not enough people get to hear this, and it's just so crucial for people to actually get a fresh reminder of, I feel like a lot of us dwell in some of the negative things sometimes and our situations instead of celebrating the wins. And then once they hear your situation and just the times that you went through, and you're excited to get, the new bunk bed that you're finding outside. It's awesome to know where you come from to where you're at today. So,
absolutely.
So for real estate, where did real estate actually spark your interest? How did that come about? So
I like to consider myself a giver. I'm always happy, especially in my church community, my family, my friends. I've always been a giver. I remember my dad had a small restaurant in Costa Rica. And, every now and then I'll get a little bit of tips in colones, which is the currency for Costa Rica. And one of the first things that I would do is I would go and buy my mom something, whether it is an ornament or a keychain, or I would craft it myself. And that translated into New York, where, at the age of 11, I started working in a pizza shop in the Bronx, 234th and Broadway. And I remember I would work for $2 an hour every Saturday, 12 to 10 p.m. It was a couple of blocks from my house. And I remember that every Sunday I would give my mom the $20 right after church service, because I thought that the $20 will cover all of Sunday dinner for 9 people. They never told me it didn't. They kept that secret hidden from me. But as I grew older, I continued to give. And I realized one day, how can I give more, right? How can I be able to give more? And I remember at that time when this dream came about, I was still an undocumented citizen or alien. They called us aliens. I was still an undocumented alien in the United States. So I was very limited with what I was able to do. My first ever real estate job was as a property manager. We managed 21 buildings in New York, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan. And I never really knew what property management was. I just was so desperate for a job. This was around 2008. Well, I was so desperate for a job that I just took whatever came. Before that, I always had a job. I always had up to 3 jobs at any given time. But I couldn't wait to get out of high school and just continue to work, because I was never really a scholar. I didn't like sitting in school and listening to professors. And I was boring. And school to me was easy. I never studied, barely ever did homework, because I would just do everything in class. And I was always find my way around to create a better response or a better grade in school. So when I finally got out, I started looking for jobs. And in 2008, I found a property management job where I was in charge of handling the violations. Then people started leaving the office, and then I was in charge of filling vacancies. So my manager said, we charge a $250 application fee. And, we split it. You give me 50, you keep 200. I was like, okay, other than my salary, that was an extra bonus. So I was filling vacancies. Then I started figuring out that you needed a real estate license to do that. My manager never told me that. But it got to a point where, we had 21 buildings. There was always vacancies. And as I interacted with other agents, I knew that they were charging a full month's worth of rent as a commission. My light bulb went out. I'm from the Bronx. Wait, you mean to tell me that if I were to rent this 1 bedroom for $1,800, I could get $1,800 commission? It's like, yeah. So I gave it a shot 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And I remember the ratio that my manager told me: for every 250, you get 200, you give me 50. So that's how I did it. For every 250 that I got, and that was my first interaction. I was like, all right, I like real estate because money comes in. I'm able to give back more. And at the time, I was still a little mischievous. I was always drinking and partying with my friends. I lived by myself. So even at that point, I was giving my underage friends, hopefully I don't get in trouble for this, but I would, buy them alcohol and party and all that stuff. Then I tried taking my real estate license, and I realized without a social security number, I couldn't do it. So it kind of bursted my bubble, my dream, but it always stayed in the back burner, right? And then many, many years after, I came to find out about real estate investing, and I always had that in mind because it was a TV show. I was like, well, I have my brother who's been in construction all his life. I have my brother-in-law who's an architect. I have my family that I can teach how to become private lenders, which they are. Why can't I jump into this? And then I bought into a program. And 5 years ago, in 2015, 2016, I quit my job and I went, head on into real estate investing. I've been able to provide for my family. I mean, my mom is a private money lender. I turned her into a private lender. I turned my sister into my babysitter. I turned my brother-in-law into my architect. My brother, my oldest, I say that with a lot of the good pride that I'm able to hire my oldest brother into my family. And he's had a steady job with me for the past 3 years. And I've been able to give back, even members of my church, painters, electricians, you name them. I've been able to give back into those, especially in a time like 2020, where jobs were so scarce that we couldn't find. And it's been a blessing of a road, to say the least.
I love it, man. I think that's so crucial to look around your surroundings, like look in your circle to see who can be a good fit. And obviously you have natural born leadership within you. And I think we all do, but some of us can turn that key a lot sooner than others or acknowledge it. Obviously something or someone spoke that into you and you were able to see the leadership to be able to, orchestrate what you have so far, which is awesome, to be able to, support your whole family, give everybody jobs, your church as well. I mean, I know it's a good feeling when I'm paying out all my contractors and all the different people that, it's not a one-man show, right? It takes a village to make these projects actually
absolutely
come to fruition.
Absolutely.
What kind of niches are you focusing on? I know we spoke about some rentals and flips. Is that what you mostly focus on right now?
That's been the bread and butter of the company. When I started real estate investing, I don't come from a rich family. So for me to do 2 to 3 flips a year was more than sufficient to replace my old salary. Yeah. And that's all I did. For 5 years, only 12 properties. Well, that's the reason why, we got into real estate for me, for a lifestyle by design. And my design of my lifestyle was enough to stay at home and raise my kids. I have a beautiful wife at home. I have a 5-year-old and a 14-month-old. And what I want to do with my time is spend it with them. And that's what real estate has allowed me to do. So up until that point, for the first 4 years to the company, it was 2, 3 flips will get us through the year and then some. It allowed us to travel and vacation, which is something that I was so adamant about after I finally became a U.S. citizen, traveling South America, North or Central America, the Caribbean, and the flips allowed us to do that. But then, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, you're always changing and upgrading your mindset. I learned this from one of my mentors. We're so focused, right? Especially with the new technology of upgrading the new iPhone, the new Samsung Galaxy, the new iPad, the new tab, whatever it is, we're always upgrading all of our technology, our vehicles, our homes, but we lack in upgrading ourselves, right? And upgrading our mindset, our mentality, how we focus. And thankfully, I have coaches and mentors that guide me through that process where I needed to start evolving from just flips to rentals, right? So I got into it all of 2019. I was just focused on learning the rentals and how to evaluate them, which is different than evaluating a flip, and what's your cash and cash return, what's the rent roll, all that stuff, property management. And in late 2019, I partnered up with a friend of mine from Indiana, and we just started buying, rentals left and right. Last quarter of 2019 into the first quarter of 2020, we bought every rental that we have right now. There was more, but we sold all of the bad apples. We had about 40 something. We sold the bad apples, kept the good ones. And that's been our focus, to be able to generate not just passive income, but generational wealth, right? What's coming for our children, what's coming for their children. And the true way to think about it is 3 generations ahead of you. If my children's grandchildren are covered, then I did my job.
Did a good job,
and that's been my focus. Make sure that what we buy, by the way, using very little of our money, is essentially the goal, to be able to make sure they don't struggle. I want them to struggle, but their own struggles, not the ones that I went through. Sure. Because then I'll be repeating the mistake. But flips and rentals is the current MO. Eventually, we want to build an equity firm where we could just have our cash bring cash, and we can enjoy even more of our time with whatever we want to do, you know?
Nice. More of like a hedge fund that you're raising money and then putting it to work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it, man. So let's talk about your first deal for a second. What did that look like?
What a mess.
Yeah, what a mess, right? I remember mine.
Lord, when I started investing in, a lot of the big picture was overcoming myself.
Yeah.
Overcoming my fear of the unknown, the fear of what's next, what's going to happen next. And that's usually a very common fear, because if we knew that behind that flip, there was $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, we would race. Oh, absolutely. We would race to the end line.
It's all new, it's brand new territory. We've never done it before. You never experienced. So you don't know if you're going to make mistakes, and it turns into a negative 50, right?
Exactly. And even at that point, I was afraid of mistakes. Now I embrace them. I'm like, bring them along. That's a new lesson for me. But at that point, I was still fresh. And I remember it was like a Saturday. I got on Zillow. I had no marketing going on. I didn't even know how to market well. I got on Zillow, and I remember that I was always afraid to click contact agent. I was afraid of that button. I couldn't press it to save my life, but I put on my big boy pants and I was like, send, contact agent to like 10 properties. And now I'm sitting there in front of my computer, like I'm high on something. I'm like this, like what's next, right? And I remember that an agent replied, and I was like, oh crap, right? Like I was so afraid out of my mind. I was like, that's when I started my mindset shift. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Now, let me talk to this agent. Let me walk this property. It was in a town called Baldwin here in Long Island, New York. And I went to see the property. It was listed for $300,000. And I'm walking the property. It was a 1940 something. It was built prior to when the township was created. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a lot of work. It's like $100,000 in repairs. And never have I repaired anything for that much money. Never have I seen that much money. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stick to my studies. I'm going to stick to my knowledge, what I've been investing myself in. So I'm going to stick to the numbers, and I'm going to submit. The agents will call a lowball offer. I call it an educated offer. And I was like, you know what? My number is 225. I know it's 75,000 under asking. I'm sending that offer, and let's see what happens. They accepted. From 300,000 to 225 off the MLS. I was like, no way, you're kidding. No, they accepted the offer. I was like, okay, great. I have an inspection contingency. Thank God. Let me get some professionals in there. So the boiler had it was full of asbestos. There was asbestos all over the basement. I was like, all right, I need to reduce my offer to 215. And I am in my mind, I was like, they're not taking it. They already went down 75,000 to another 10,000 under asking. It's going to be more of an insult, but they accepted it. I was like, all right, I guess now I find money. What do I do next?
What do I do?
It's like, I didn't even have I told them we would put down like 5,000, but they wanted like 25,000 earnest money. It's like, I only got like 5,000 in the bank. It's like, my agent went to work. She negotiated. We got it under contract. This was about 4 months after I joined my real estate education program. And I remember that on January 2016, I was like, I got my property under contract. We're due to close any minute. This is going to profit me, I think, $55,000. That's going to cover about 70% of my yearly salary. I can quit my job. And I did.
Yeah.
I as soon as I got under contract, like 2 days later, I sat in my boss's office and I told him, Steven, here's what's happening. And quick, rabbit trail. At that point in my job, I had reached the most I could grow at that point. I couldn't go above and beyond. It's like, and I'm getting bored at my old job. So I was like, all right, I'm getting bored. Here's an opportunity for growth. I'm going to take the leap of faith. And I've always been that way. I've never been like a lukewarm kind of person. I'm either cold or hot. And if I have a foot in or a foot out, I'm never going to be able to perform to the best of my ability. If I chase two rabbits at the same time, I'm never catching one of them. And I started telling myself, Eddie, if you do this, it doesn't only affect me, my wife, my newborn, the future. I believed in myself, and thank God I have a supporting wife who's like, listen, that's what you feel like doing, go for it. All right. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And my old job treated me so well that I was an account manager in sales. So I knew that 2 weeks wasn't going to be enough to replace me. So I gave him 3 months. I told him, I'll work another 3 months. I'll train whoever you bring, make sure that all of my accounts know who, the next person is. And then once you feel like he's ready, then I'm gone. So I told him April 1st, I'm leaving. I'm thinking by that time, the flip should be done or close to done. And we can have a little cushion to be able to seek. April 1st came, I quit my job and I still hadn't closed on the deal.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently there was like 4 heirs to the property. I was able to, title and my attorney were able to find 3 of them. The 4th one was somewhere in South America, in Bolivia, about 12 hours away from the nearest U.S. embassy. So document signing was a little bit complicated for that person.
So it wasn't on your end. It was more on the sellers. And were you able to raise the funds to be able to get prepared for the project?
Yeah, so I found a hard money lender. We closed on April 15th, 2 weeks after I quit my job. Find a hard money lender. I think I skipped some classes because they didn't tell me that they will only do about 90% of the purchase. And then I got bombarded with 14 and 4 on my first deal, 4 points, 14% interest. And I was like, all right, so now I'm buying a 215 acid. I got to put 10% difference. I got to put the closing costs. I got to put the 2 points. I got to put whatever fees. I think it was like 80,000 or 90,000 that I had to come to the table with. That's when I got creative. And, when you're in trouble, who's the first person you call? Your mother. I was like, Mom, here's what's happening. My credit is shot. I need 80,000. What can we do? And man, God bless her heart. She was supportive. She's like, you tell me what I got to do and we'll do it. So I was able to secure money with her credit cards. And I was able to get, 0%. And I know you're big on this, man. And the 0% interest for 18 months. She got a 10,000 card, 5,000 card, and I had some money saved. So I was able to put between my mom, myself, and my wife, I probably shot all of the credit down. We was able to find the gap funding. And now here comes the fun part, the renovation. And we're looking in there.
At this point, we're all in. We're all in. We're going for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
It's like no more cushion, right? All the funds are invested. Well, at least all of ours. Thank God for our hard money lender. And we go to have fun. And, we as we're taught, we open permits. And then as I go to open permits in the town of Hempstead, if you're a New Yorker or Long Islander, it's one of the worst, most difficult towns in all of Long Island. And I come to find out that the property had no CO. I was like, okay. That's going to be a problem. I called my attorney. He's like, what happened? He's like, oh, I thought you knew. I was like, no, I didn't know. I don't know what a CO is.
Yeah.
So I had to now file, not just for my building permit, I had to file for a non-conforming permit, which completely new to me. Get architectural drawings, get a plumbing inspection, electrical inspection, but I couldn't get that done because the work wasn't done. What was supposed to be a 6-month flip turned into a 12-month flip. Our ARV after repair value when we purchased it was at about a 400,000. We buy for 215, 400,000 ARV. Those are good numbers. By the time the 12th month happened, where we're waiting 6 to 8 weeks for approval of permits, inspections, rejections, conditions, you name it. After firing 2 contractors, after interviewing about 4 plumbers and a couple of electricians, and I'm like, you know what? This is not going to cut it. So that's when I brought my brother in. Now, for if you're not a Long Islander, my brother lived at that point in East Hampton, which is 2 hours and a half from Baldwin. And I'm like, there's no way he's going to make that trip. But God bless his heart. He's like, you need me? I'm there. All right. So he was making that trip 2 hours and a half, just to help me out and get me out of my funk. I would have lost money if it wasn't for the market doing a nice little shift. We were able to sell it for $432 as opposed to $400. We sold it to a veteran. He got a great home, and it was definitely a learning experience. There's a little bit of a funny part to this. I mentioned waiting 6 to 8 weeks for permits and all that stuff. I remember when we were going to get our final for our CO, the inspector said, do you have a permit for the fence? I was like, no, I didn't think I needed one. It's like, just open it. You don't even have to close it and you'll get your CO. I was like, okay. I went to the town, and that last visit to the town of Hempstead, I see a new cubicle right behind the lady where I used to always speak to. She was charmed by my beard. So she was always like, she knew who Eddie was and always wanted to touch it. I'm like, if it's going to get my file to the top, you can touch whatever you want, Just here it is.
Let's go.
And she did. She expedited a lot of my files.
Wow.
But I get there and I asked her, what's that cubicle? She goes, well, you can now have your permit seen in 3 days for $300. I'm like, you mean to tell me that for the past 11 months, I've been waiting 6 to 8 weeks. And now you're telling me that for $300, I could get my permit seen in 3 days? Like, yeah. I was like, I hate you guys so much.
Yeah, come on now.
But I mean, I learned so much how to negotiate, how to, speak to the town, become friends with the building department. Oh man, those are like my best friends now. Quick tip. If you ever have an inspection in my projects, for some reason, every time the inspectors show up, we have coffee and donuts. I don't know. They just happen to show. I don't know, but and make them your friends, and you'll get so much farther, so much quicker than if you curse them out like a true New Yorker would do. Yeah. But yeah, that's that first good, property, man. Jesus Christ, what a property.
Yeah. Man, I love it. So on that particular property, it took longer than expected and a lot of learning curves, but you guys still ended up turning a profit on that one?
Yeah, we made about 24.
Okay.
From the 50, which is not bad. We estimated about 55. But the holding time, there was illegal bathrooms that we had to fix and move and change the plumbing and stuff. So there was an extra expenses on the repairs. But thankfully, with the market shift, we were able to pocket about 22, 24, if I remember correctly, on that first deal.
Love it. And then since then, have you got better rates with hard money lenders and so forth?
So eventually, I think the next one was like 10 and 3.
Okay.
And I think I got to a point where I was like at 8 and 2 or 8 and 1.5. Now we just use private money. I think I'm done with hard money lenders. Man, it's like they always tell you the upfront fees, but they don't tell you the fees at closing. So I was like, what do you mean 2,500 attorney review? They're like, what is that? So we got better rates, and now, I mean, there's so much action that you could get a hard money lender at 8 and 2, even in your first deal, right? And there's just so much competition for those guys. But yeah, definitely better rates, but I still prefer my private lenders.
Yeah, and private money lenders, I prefer dealing with as well, just because it feels better knowing that you're helping out, a mom and pop or a neighbor or somebody that you can create a true win-win situation. I've actually inspired one of my neighbors. He started off as a private money lender with us, and then after a few deals, he was like, hey, I want to partner up and actually jump into a deal with you. So I ended up giving him an opportunity. Afterwards, he ended up getting several properties on his own in the same area. So it's just starting to change the mindsets and giving people the confidence to be able to get out there on their own.
Which is one of our goals. If we can show you another way that you can get to your retirement faster or get to your happy place, then why not? I've been able to turn easily well over 8 people and show them what becoming a private lender is. Even if they have 20,000 or 100,000 or 500,000, if I'm able to show somebody how they can perhaps live better or make better decisions where they're hard in money, because a lot of these individuals that I've worked with, I've realized this is their lifetime savings. So I can understand why they're so attached to it. I mean, it's completely warranted, but if we can show them a difficult vehicle where they can just literally collect the check out of their mailbox every single month, while having their property secured, insured, and protected with legal documentation, why not? I'm a big believer that if I know how to do the right thing, it's not only my responsibility to do it, it's more like a duty, right? It's like a mandate, right? An obligation to do it. And listen, we've been able to turn several people into investors, private lenders, and just teach them a different way of life. And I'm glad to be able to do that through real estate investing.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we actually started this podcast several years ago, is just for the simple fact that a lot of people out there acknowledge real estate is an awesome, platform to be able to get that financial freedom, right? And they just don't know how to get started in some cases.
That's right.
So it's a huge blessing that you were able to get that education But there's other resources out there as well that people can dive into. Like I got started, I wasn't educated on all the different platforms or education out there, right? I was just jumping on all the YouTube podcasts like this, and then, books I could get my hands on real estate related. Yeah. And eventually I got enough confidence to get out there and start making those offers, clicking the button to get people to call me back.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's really funny to just think about. But, long story short here is it doesn't take much to be able to, a few properties, and a majority of people could get enough cash flow to really just, an extra couple $1,000, $5,000 could be life-changing for so many
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely. And when you're able to show somebody, listen, you got $50,000, that may not get you very far here in New York or California, but branch out to a different, market where, one, the laws favor you as a landlord, as a homeowner. I've seen, no lie, I know of friends who have bought houses swiping their credit card because there's like $5,000, $6,000, $8,000. In New York, I'm like, oh, that's property taxes. No, that's the purchase of the house.
Yeah.
Incredible, right? So it's all a matter of, like you said, education. There's so many resources. I'm a big believer in reading. So, books, YouTube, mentors and coaches. I used to not believe in mentors and coaches until I needed them. There's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And thank God there was teachers and mentors that started appearing and guiding me the right way, and that is one of the, I guess, the most beneficial resource that I've been able to find, where I can pick up the phone, call, this guy or that guy, or whatever mentors I have. But the resources are out there. Absolutely, they're out there.
That's so good. Let's talk about leads for a second. How are you picking up your leads? I know that first one, it was just right off the market, off the MLS. How are you doing it now?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now I've had to get creative. I was just given a statistic about 2 weeks ago here in Long Island, Suffolk, and Nassau County. At any given time, we had 400, 500 foreclosures going on. So there was inventory just, spread around. 2 weeks ago, there was only about 70 foreclosures, at which maybe 69 of them are occupied. And, given the current condition, many investors were not jumping into occupied properties because that can go for years with the moratorium that's going on. That, from what I'm hearing, it's maybe extended to September 1st. I don't know. But we have to get creative, because these properties that are getting foreclosed are not necessarily vacating their tenants. So up until this pandemic and up until the current market conditions, I didn't really need to do much marketing, because the 2 or 3 that I would get a year, my agent will just get those for me, right? Or I will find them through auction sites. I love Hubzu. I love auction.com. People, talk bad about them, but if you do your research, you'll find a gem here and there. One of my deals in 2017, if I remember correctly, I bought a Hubzu for 103. I knew it was occupied, but we didn't have a pandemic back then.
Yeah.
I spoke to the lady, offered cash for keys. She didn't want to get out. I was like, okay. I sold it for 145 3 months later. Right. So from 103 purchase on Hubzu to 145 resale 3 months later, it's a good profit just to have something sitting there. So there's good meat in these websites and these auction sites, but those have been the most sought after resources that I've been able to get my leads from, directly from my agent. And by the way, this agent is just focused on 5 zip codes in the town of Brookhaven where I'm at. I don't branch out anywhere else because he may not know that area. So he knows my investing criteria, and anything that pops up in the MLS, I'm the first guy that he calls. I'm the first guy that he's going to call, and I'll tell him, although he already knows my formula, but I'll tell him, let me dig deeper. Let me take a look at it. Let me not take a look at it. Let's make an offer on the spot. But off the MLS, and he's even gotten me a couple of off-market properties that were about to hit. But a short answer would be through the MLS and that particular agent, and through auction websites, Hubzu, Zone, Hudson and Marshall, whatever's out there in auction life. Not necessarily in-house auctions at the town hall, more like online auctions.
So explain how the auctions work, just for anybody out there that doesn't know and wants to potentially check out these sites to pick up their next property.
I like to call it the eBay of properties. You go in there, you search your product, you check your numbers and what they can possibly resell for. Nowadays, more than before, most websites, if not all of them by now, are asking you to leave either $1,000 deposit on Zone or a $2,500 deposit on auction.com and Hubzu. The reason being is many people were just clicking bid, but never go through with the purchase. So from a business perspective, from the sites, they were losing buyers. So now if you're the winning bidder and you have that $2,500 deposit, it'll be used towards the earnest money deposit and whatever premium that they may charge. Before it was just, you click on bid and there'll be increments of $2,000, $10,000, whatever the seller may have chosen. But you would pretty much go on the website, you search your county, you search the address, you search whatever territory you want to invest in, you select what property you're looking to bid on, and literally click bid. It will ask you for some information. Even if you found it without an agent, if you're an agent yourself, you can put yourself as the agent and you'll get commission out of that sale for bringing the buyer. So the way I do it, I give it to Carlos. He's my agent. Even though he didn't find it for me, it's just extra 2% in his pocket, 3% in his pocket, just for connecting me to the other lead. So it's kind of like a bonus, so to speak. Yep. And you put in your information, you send in your, as an LLC, which I hope you're buying with under an LLC, not under your personal name. You put in your LLC documents, your operating agreement, whatever they may be asking you for, and you submit the offer. And pretty much you'll get emails if you've been outbid, if it's like 2 hours before or 30 minutes before the auction is over, if you're the winning bidder, what's the next steps. And it's very organized. It's very organized. They send you all the documentation. You can DocuSign everything, and they'll have your attorney information. They share that information with their attorney, my agent. And you're just in the middle of all these email threads where you see your team going to work for you. But it is a great resource to be able to find. If you get one property every 6 months, well, that's a property that you can get off of these auction websites.
Good. I love it. Yeah, it's very systematic. So they're going to be able to guide you, handhold you along the whole process, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And just natural communication. You can call in as well as you get an offer accepted and get a little bit more hands-on if needed, right?
You can. Some agents actually do put their information. Most of these properties are REOs, which stands for real estate owned. So they're foreclosed properties. And every foreclosed property will have an asset manager from the bank, which is the person who's pretty much handling that property, and many others. Some of these guys or gals, they're friendly, and you can actually have your agent speak to them. It's usually good if they're not New Yorkers, because we're just bitter out of pure nature.
It's the East Coast, man. It's not just New York, but it's New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey as well. Although we don't really get along, but whatever. But you can speak to these people and tell them, can we expedite it? Can we hurry up? Or where are we with title? I never do it. I have my agent do it. All right. And he's like, Carlos, we want this property and let's see what we can get. But they have asset managers, even the listing agent you can get in contact with. And another tip, if you can even get in contact with the listing agent and create a relationship. I have one guy who's telling me this property is going to go in auction next week. Do you want to bid before? Absolutely. Right. So great relationships, build that teamwork that would eventually create your worth in real estate, and be able to develop relationships that are going to be bringing fruits all along your process. But you can definitely get in touch with these asset managers and listing agents to find out more information about such properties.
And I love what you do as well. An easy way to be able to get people on your side and to make sure fruit is constantly going on there. And even though you found the property, you're still putting your agent, your communication, the guy that you're building that relationship with,
right,
putting them their information down so that they can get an extra 2%. That's not a bad gig. It's a nice little bonus for them. And it's a great reminder of like, hey, this guy just hooked me up. I'm going to take care of him and keep on sending him deals, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And it allows him to be able to give me a discount on the resale, right? Yep. So real estate commission nowadays is 5-6%. That's the standard. Yep. I've never paid that. Most I've ever paid is 4%. Yep. So that extra 2% on the purchase that he would never have expected, it's a nice little bonus for him to be, and this is just at the beginning, for him to be okay with the 4%, right? Yep. But that 4% has brought him many, many deals across the years. He's probably done 80% of all my flips. Right. Most of them on the purchase and definitely on the resale. So it is a great gig. It's a great opportunity for you to build that extra relationship and for him or her to find out you're true with your words, right? I can trust this person because he's giving me, he's practically giving me money that it wasn't meant for me.
Sure.
Right. Right.
No,
so
that's awesome.
It's definitely a great bonus for your agent.
Now, how were you able to find this agent? Did you have to go through several? Finding people on your team is always, it's a struggling trait, and they might start off great, but then, things happen in life. People start changing. Yes. New seasons in everybody's life could be more difficult than others. So how do you keep them around, right? And keep them in the right mindset of the goal?
Yeah, absolutely. Not every agent is an investor-friendly agent, you know, and I had to get comfortable with letting people go, right? As a natural giver, I always want to embrace as many people as I can and bring them to the team. And even, by hook or by crook, try to change their mentality to see beyond, the 2 feet of view that they have. So I've let go of people. My 2 worst investments came from the same agent. I was like, okay, I got to let you go. I can't work with you anymore. But Carlos, my go-to agent in the area that I'm focusing in, social media. I'm, actively posting on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I even started creating a YouTube channel to be able to bring back value. He saw the interaction and some of the hashtags I use is like Long Island real estate or Long Island investor. And you can search those hashtags. And he hit me up one time. He's like, hey, my name is Carlos. I would love to do business with you. And I was like, all right, let's give him another try. I always give people, 1 chance, 2 chances, not many 3 chances. But Carlos, he started, sending me deals, prospects in all of Long Island. We went to see several houses. And if an agent is willing to see several houses, that means they're motivated to work with you. Now, it is kind of like a gray area because if you're seeing 10 houses every Saturday, for example, if you're still a 9-to-5 employee, walking 10 houses every Saturday or 2 houses after you get out of work, and you're not making offers on any of them, that's a great way to lose some agents because they're now investing, 10 hours a day with you on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And no money's coming in. It's like, this guy's, he's a fluke. He's a joke. He's not going to go anywhere. But Carlos, he showed me some properties. We started making offers, and I always make educators on offers on everything. I don't care if my offer is $200,000 below asking. My offers are educated. My offers are based on my numbers for profit. As always, remember this: you're not really running a charity. You're running a business that needs to pay its taxes and employees. So never be afraid to make that lowball offer or your educated offer. And he was putting them through.
As long as you're showing them, right? Like show them
absolutely.
Afterwards why, if they're asking $1 million for it and you're showing, I only can pay $5 for this thing, show your paperwork of why.
Yeah.
And give reasoning behind it. If they disagree, then that's on them, but your numbers, right? And it is a business.
Absolutely. We got to make a profit. We got to calculate for closing costs on both sides, for his commission. Uncle Sam, he's never going to forgive taxes. So he's like the first one to get paid. Yeah. And he was comfortable. Some agents are like, I'm not doing that. My reputation's on the line. Well, you're also trying to build your brand. If you're an agent, there's got to be a brand behind you that you can stand by. And he was putting them through, and we got our first deal, got our second deal, 3 deals, 4 deals. And it was just a relationship that was created along the way, along the years, along the flips that, he already knows which ones to send me, right? He has my formula. He has what I'm looking for, the area I'm looking for. So he'll text me, hey, Eddie, check out this property. Here's your ARV. I was like, okay, all right, let's make an offer. And, 10 minutes later, he has an offer on the spot. But him, I found through Instagram. He sent me a message on Instagram. The rest was history. 4 years later, 5 years later, we're still doing business.
I love it. Now, with your rental portfolio, do you believe that your initial first job getting started in real estate, doing the management, do you think any of that has helped or?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, like I said, I give people 1 chance, 2 chances. In July 2020, we decided to fire our property management company and start our own. I have property management experience. My partner has a construction crew in Indy. So we have everything that we needed. We started a complete new management company, and we've been managing our own properties, keeping that 10% in-house that we would normally pay, 10% between all the properties that we would normally pay somebody else. And I spoke to him like, listen, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this. I did it a long time ago in New York in a more competitive and aggressive market. Talking to Indianapolis tenants, I got to remind myself, they're not in New York. They're not in New York. They're not in New York. All right. For example, there's an area, Anderson, which is about an hour north of Indianapolis, where we have a 1-bedroom for $400. And I'm like, wow, can we increase this guy's rent?
Yeah.
Like $400, and $600 for a 2-bedroom with a garage and I would move into that apartment. It's like, no, bro, this is not New York. And I got to remind myself that. But we pulled the trigger when we kept having to talk to our property management companies. Listen, guys, this is the way we want it, or this is the way we want it. And I pulled the trigger on, you know what, let's start our own company, when I found out that they didn't know there was 2 properties that were vacant for 3 months. And I was like, guys, this is serious. That's like $5,000 out of my pocket. And we got on a 4-way call, the property manager of that asset, his manager, my partner, and myself. And I had to let him have it. We've been giving you many chances. Tenants are complaining. And now I'm finding out that there's 2 properties that were vacant for 3 months, costing us, I think it was like $5,000. What are you guys willing to do with it? And they were willing to do nothing about it. So I was like, you know what? This was like in March. I told my partner, well, let's start something. Let's start our own management company. You give me the context of the construction crew so we can have handymen ready to, disperse into the job sites. We started using Buildium, the property management software. I do everything remote. Soon we're going to start hiring because of the more growth that we want to do. But this is something that my partner and I handle perfectly. He does a lot of the legwork. I do all of the remote stuff. And my property management experience has definitely helped us being able to secure the good rentals, the ones that are more beneficial to the portfolio, which is what I mentioned before. We sold some of the bad apples, the bad neighborhoods or the non-paying tenants or whatever that reason may have been.
Eddie, what do you believe has been maybe your biggest learning curve, or something that you think would just be of value to somebody just getting started in investing in real estate?
Yeah, so I love speaking about my failures more than I do my success stories, because I think that we learn more from what we could have done better, could have done in a different manner. And it's tough to say because you want to trust, but never trust anyone, right? Or if you are, trust, but verify, get everything in writing, anything they do, even if it's with family, right? Not that I'll ever sue any of my family members, or hopefully I never get sued by them. But I believe that getting everything in writing is part of the vision. And I learned this from Damon John, the shark. You can never hit a target that you can't see. So I put everything in the target. I put everything in perspective, right? No, for example, no contractor or subcontractor or whoever it is steps into my property, do any work until I get my documents signed, my lien waivers and all those documents. With hard money lenders, if you're asking for an extension, get that on paper. If you're paying somebody, get that on paper. So pretty much get everything documented. And this is more of an East Coast mentality, just in case you ever do have to present yourself in court. Hopefully, it's not a good ordeal. It's not, it's not nice to be in court getting sued or suing somebody. But should you ever have to go through that hardship, you're prepared for it, right? The last year, 2020, I got burned. Some of the worst investments ever. I got burned because I was under the impression that the text I had with the owner of the hard money company, where I asked for an extension because of Corona, I had it in text and I had everything documented, I thought, but I never got that document signed because I trusted this individual. And I believed that if he said, yeah, you're extended for another 6 months, then it was good to go until we got the payoff letter. And I got burned with about a $45,000 in fees and late fees and default interest because I didn't get that documented, right? So it was definitely a learning experience, and it was something that I learned from. Never will I do it again. Even if you're my son, I told Manny, you ever step foot on my property, you're going to sign the lien waiver, brother. But get everything documented. That's been the biggest learning experience. Get everything documented. Trust whoever you want to trust, but verify it. right? If they're saying that's what's going to happen, verify it, get it documented, get it signed, notarized, whatever it may be, in every aspect of your business, from the purchase, the in-betweens, the sales, have everything documented and never throw any of that stuff away, at least not for 7 years for your statutes of limitation, but another story.
That's so good. That's something that I've made similar mistakes on as well, not having the right document signed at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be huge learning curves, right? So definitely want to make sure that is on point. Also, another learning curve for me has definitely been the contractors in the past. Same thing, having the detailed scope of work, having the contracts written out before they jump on the property. That's a smart move. So I appreciate that.
Even if you trust the person you bring, the contractor, sub, plumber, whoever it may be, even if you know them, like I said, I hire people that I know to be able to provide back. I had to get comfortable with myself and saying, if this person is not up to your standard, be okay with letting them go. Right. I'd rather ruin a business relationship than a personal relationship. Right. And since I'm bringing people that I know, and even with people that I had an ex-friend, because it ruined a personal relationship. I had an ex-friend who was a contractor, had a scope of work, had everything detailed, even signed, but he had the audacity, as I went picking out, bad trim or corners or spackle, whatever it was that I was pointing out to him that I would want fixed. He had the audacity to tell me that, Eddie, and I'm paraphrasing here, if you wanted us to do a good job, you should have told us. And in my mind, I was like, you did not just say that, right? Like, you did not just tell me that I have to tell you to do a good job. So even if you trust the person, even if you have confidence in their work, verify it. And if they're not willing to correct it, or if they give you these kind of excuses, then be okay with letting them go, right? Be okay with creating a better product, because at the end of the day, this is your reputation. Whoever steps foot in your house, in your project, in your flip or your rental, they're a representation of you. So whatever product you put forth, they're not going to say 1, 2, 3 contract and get it. They're going to say, in my case, 180 Homes and Properties did this project, and here's what it looks like. Here's what's behind the walls. So whatever they can see, and if it's a back product, you can only imagine behind the walls. They're going to start thinking your piping or your electrical, your HVAC ductwork is not up to par because of what they saw on the paint or the trim or the tiling. So even if you know the person, even if you've done business before, trust them, but verify it. Walk your property once a week, twice, whatever it may be, but verify that the work that they're doing is up to your standard so that you can protect your business and your reputation, which is going to go a long way.
It's so good. I mean, I recently went through this as well. I just had to get rid of an electrician and a plumber, and they were both just super cost efficient. Like they're getting the job done and very, very, reasonable prices, which that's why I just loved them. But showing up late, not, trying to get paid out like that day right away, like a crackhead. And that was it was too much for me, and just the stress of, there's certain order, there's certain line, like I have my next guy waiting on the plumbing to be moved around, and they can't move until that's done. And then homeboy doesn't show up. So it's, it's a pain. And I didn't want to cut these people, but you really need to think about, hey, these people do represent you. Yeah. Because, and how can you grow your team if they're not jumping on to the same vision? So
Absolutely. They need to be on the same page. They have to be, it's your reputation, and that's what's your reputation is going to last much longer than you are.
Yep.
That's something that I had to live with. We still remember all of these famous people in history because of their reputation, their testimony, their testament. What have they done? And you don't want to be that guy from your town. Oh, I don't want to do business with Eddie. I don't want to do business with Brandon because X. Your reputation is going to outlast you. So you want to make sure that you got that cover. Your testimony, who you are, is as clean as you allow it to be.
So good. Eddie, how can people get a hold of you, brother?
I'm all over social media. I mean, you can't miss this beard, so anything 180 Homes and Properties. I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I started a YouTube page with self-made videos on how I can bring value to you. But yeah, definitely, if you just go to 180 Homes and Properties, all of my social media links are right there that you can click on, follow me, subscribe, send me a message. If you need any assistance, I'm always, willing to lend you a conversation, a phone call. If you're local, I love two things, pizza and coffee. Take me out for either. And, you're going to be my best friend. Done
deal. I love it.
The best way to my heart is through my stomach. So, let's get it.
Same way.
Yeah.
I love it. Cool. Well, Eddie, I appreciate you so much, man. You're nothing but just like a bunch of energy and just a wealth of knowledge, which is awesome. So
Thank you.
I appreciate you diving in today and giving an hour of your time. Anything that myself or the listeners can do to give back to you after, you just gave an hour of your time?
You always look to provide value, I always look to do better. Never be mediocre. If you have the ability, then you have the responsibility and the duty, right? The obligation. So in anything that you do, right? Whether it's real estate related or not, right? Whether it's a personal life or in a relationship, whatever it may be, if you have the ability to be able to give back in not as close to perfection as possible. I know we'll never reach perfection, but if you act accordingly, then that's what you reproduce. And second, bring somebody with you, right? If you're aiming to success, never go there alone. Bring somebody that could have done it or needed that extra help, and duplicate yourself, right? If you could do that, then you've blessed me. Indirectly, you've blessed me. Right. So act to the best of your performance, the best of your ability, and bring somebody who needs to be brought up with you. Be that handout to somebody.
So good, man. Well, Eddie, I appreciate you so much, man. Really awesome.
Likewise.
Yeah, it was good today. So I appreciate you, bro. Everybody that, is listening to this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that, notification. Will update you every single Monday when the new episode comes out. If you want to get in contact with me, you can do so at Brandon Elliott Investments on Instagram. Otherwise, facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. And then if you're looking to get any credit repair done for you services, then you can reach out to us at creditrepairmobile.com. Otherwise, if you're looking to get educated, then we can show you how to be able to educate, build up your own credit, fixing your credit, build up credit, and then be able to leverage your credit successfully into real estate or any businesses that you're looking to scale. And you can do so at creditcounselelite.com. And because we have, so my birthday's coming up. If you guys are listening to this, not in the live right now, but if you're listening to this on the podcast, then my birthday just happened, and we want to give out a little gift for each and every one of you guys. For the first 5 people that reach out to me, I will be giving, let's see, if you guys reach out to me, the first 5 people either direct message me on Instagram or on Facebook, showing that you left a review and you subscribed to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, I will give you access to Credit Counsel Elite, the gold package, absolutely free for the first 5 people. And then anybody else, if you missed the first 5, then anybody that's interested, we will give it to you for 50% off. So give you guys a huge discount. And would love to connect with each and every one of you guys. So we will see you on the next episode next Monday. Eddie, appreciate you, bro. Nothing but love.
Thank you, bro. Same thing. Thank you. It was an honor.
Next time, guys. God bless.
Take care.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next